Here's a clip from August 2022 of a spinosaurus holding a sword in his mouth. As you can see, this just makes you go hell yeah. 10 seconds long, no UI, no health bar, no game attached to it at all. We can see someone in the replies asks the obvious question. What game is this from? But it wasn't from anything. It was just one guy's personal animation work, and he said he wished there was a game with that boss in it. I saw that clip and did what I always do with similar clips like it, which is think that it's class, but this is never gonna happen. Normally that's where it'll end. Somebody makes a cool little thing and the internet enjoys it for an afternoon. Then it's gone forever. Back into the ether of the ever worsening internet archives. This one though didn't stop. It's now a proper game. And I've got to say, it's got some gas. But the story of it existing at all is better than what the game is. And I don't mean that as a dig, I just think it's the most interesting thing about it. The guy who made that original clip is an animator called Jean Nguyen. Jean Nguyen. I'm so sorry for butchering your name, bud. The reason the clip exists at all is the best part of it. He wasn't pitching any game to anybody. He had recently left his job at a different studio, and his demo reel was about 5 years out of date. Unable to show any of the work he'd actually worked on at the studio, he started making his own animations and posting them every couple of days in an attempt to get hired and build out his portfolio, of course. Then one day, he was, and this is his own word for it, was feeling kind of lazy. So he took an old Spinosaurus walk cycle that he'd already made, stuck a giant sword in its mouth, and posted that. So that's where this whole thing comes from one fella who just couldn't be bothered to animate something new. And it worked. Sucker Punch saw his posts and reached out to him. He ended up as a gameplay animator on Ghost of Yotei and is now a senior at that same company. Fair play to him. You had a viral clip that got you the job? Fantastic. Framed up on the wall, job done. But not him. True to the same desire he showed in his response to that tweet way back, he started working on an actual game in October of 2023. After a month of sitting, watching Unreal Engine tutorials on YouTube, in his spare time, working around his job, a wife, and a 1-year-old. I feel you, bro. Dinoblade then released on the 23rd of July. It did 36,000 copies on the first day. Honestly, it deserved more. So the only question that actually matters is whether the game itself feels like the clip. Because that's a hard thing to pull off in itself. 10 seconds of animation with nothing underneath it can promise whatever it likes, but putting a combat system in there is usually where these things can fall apart. But it doesn't in Dinoblade. The animation work is the best thing in the game by a distance. And the combos are great, they flow naturally into each other. The movement's got a real good weight to it. Special moves land with the same heft that clip had. And it gets even better with finishers for the bosses. When you finally kill one, you take their weapon off them and you use it against them to land the finishing blow. And it's just fantastic. And it really sells what the original clip was going for. Particular highlight was the T-Rex at the end of the first area, and it's where it really all clicked for me. It's also where I died most of my deaths so far. Real skill check on that. But it's the good kind. The kind where you're getting battered and you're still getting back up. Helps that the music in these fights absolutely goes hard. Proper metal blaring away over the top of it while a T-Rex tries to take your head off for the 9th time. And you're just sat there with your blood pumping, ready to go again. This game is great, and it exists because one fella wanted it to exist. This is one person's vision the whole way through, and nobody sat in any room and asked whether a sword-swinging Spino was going to test well. There's no meetings. It was all just the vibe. The creature designs are great, like fantastic. Some of them are sized absolutely inaccurately, but it really just lends to the role of cool. Why this spinosaurus is a dwarf compared to this T-Rex, I'll never know. And there's this character for part of the story aspect who's like got swords covered around him and all these horns growing out of him, like something straight out of Elden Ring, but even more metal because he's a dinosaur. It's just, it's brilliant. And another fun little fact is whenever you're in these fights, and I don't know if this is like meant to be in the game or not, but there's these little pockets of downtime in the middle of fights for like genuinely just for aura farming, which is it's just fantastic. I adore this. Games often feel like they want to rush you and constantly bombard you within fights, never letting you breathe. Here, there's definitely time to realign and just take in the sheer aura of this little Spino with his Buster Sword looking at a T-Rex with a cleaver. I'm only a few hours in, so take that for what it is. This game just isn't polished, to be fair. And I don't think pretending otherwise does anyone any favors. The camera's stiff, it's not broke or anything, but it hurts the readability. When you're the size you are and attacks are coming in from things a lot smaller than you to the same size to way, way bigger, it's not always clear what's about to hit you. And it gets worse because there's a fair amount of visual effect flying off the swords and weapons all the time, which is a nitpick on its own. I just think there's too much of it. But those two problems are basically the same. What I do is I just have the effects fire when something's actually winding up to an attack, because then the noise is telling you something instead of just being noise. And there's a fair few reviewers making the point that this reads like it's a very strong prototype that maybe should have gone out as early access. Having played it, I don't think they're miles off. It's not unfinished exactly. You can just feel the edges of what was, for the most part, one person doing it in his spare time. But overall, the game is good. The fantasy from the original clip survives the whole way into your hands, which was the hardest part of this guy attempting to make this game at all. But if you ask me in a year what I remember about Dinoblade, it's not going to be the combat or the exploration or the T-Rex or how hard of a Souls-like it was. It'll just be the fact that somebody threw up a clip of dinosaurs swinging swords. Instead of that just being it, which it was for a while, he did sit and he made that thing real. And he made it real after he already got what he wanted out of that clip. He had the job, he had the following or whatever, but he decided he wanted to actually make the game. And he did it. And there's beauty in that. And he more or less says this himself without having to actually say it. He points out that when he started building it, like, people were already there. He didn't have to make this thing and pitch it and hope people showed up. They had been asking him for it for a year solid after the clips came out. Most developers never get that in their lives. But it does mean that the story around the game finished long before the game ever released. The clip, the asking, and the years leading up to it as an actual game. All of that was already a complete thing that people loved before there was anything to actually play. The game's been catching up to it ever since. And that's more interesting than the game itself. And I mean that as a compliment, because most games don't have any story or meta-narrative around them at all. They just sort of turn up. The game is rough in places. It's one fella's attempt at a real ambitious project. And if you can keep chipping away at those little loose edges, this is going to end up as a proper banger. But the thing that stays with me isn't the fight, it's everything that led up to it. Well, that's Dinoblade, guys. It's on Steam, so I honestly recommend you go play it if you're into the fantasy it tries to deliver with dinosaurs and swords. So it definitely hits me in the right places, I'll not lie. If you enjoyed the video, would appreciate it. Like, subscribe, all that there wonderful stuff. If you could comment what you thought about Dinoblade, if you played it or seen anything about it, I would be fascinated to know your guys' thoughts. I have seen some varying opinions about the game. Personally, I think it's great, but there are people that are a lot more critical than me talking about it. But yeah, no, this is an in-between video between a bigger project that's coming out, so look forward to that. But sure, I will see you later on. Peace.